StockPulse Newsroom, talking Etruscus Resources. Etruscus trades as ETR and the CSE, ETRUF, the OTC markets in the States. They've been in the news lately with some nice gold samples up the Lewis property up there in Newfoundland. It'll run through the story a bit here. I've got the CEO, Fiore Aliperti, and Carl Ryan, the geologist. So appreciate you guys taking the time here. So I guess, Fiore, I'll pass it to you first here. Certainly some nice numbers here up at Lewis. I know a lot to run through here. So maybe catch us up on the story here for those not familiar. Lay out Etruscus a little bit here for investors.
Okay, just highlight. This company was put together by myself and a couple partners. It's never been rolled back. We have 37 million shares, which out of the 37 million shares, 20 to 25% is owned by management and close friends. We have approximately 1.2 million in the bank. We've sort of been very picky of the properties that we put into this company. Starting with the rock and roll in the Golden Triangle, which is one of the most prolific areas actually in the world. And now we've went out to Newfoundland, which is a very hot district, and we've acquired a very, very high-end quality property that Carl will get into, which we just put out a very good news release regarding our soil and rock and technical work. Other things, I think I don't want to take too much thunder. Carl, if you want to go, and then I will add more to the color commentating.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Let's jump right into it.
Yep.
My name's Carl Ryan. I'm a project geologist with Etruscus. Me and Fiore have been working together for about 4 years now. And I get to talk about the properties and the assets in the company. So you're looking at a map here of the rock and roll property and the sugar property. Now these are located in northwestern BC. We're sitting adjacent to some pretty amazing past producing deposits. We got the Snip Mine, which is about 7 kilometers away. It's an awesome jurisdiction to be exploring. Recent investments in the area, Hochschild Mining has actually just committed themselves to spending 100 million at the Snip Mine. So that's, just next door. That's going to mean new infrastructure in the area, and that's a great bonus for us. And then we also have Newmont with the purchase of GT Gold and Newcrest recently stepping in at Brucejack and at Red Chris a handful of years ago. So a lot going on, a lot of money going into the Golden Triangle, and we're pretty happy to have a great property in the area. To zoom in, just a little history on the property. We picked it up in 2018, but it was originally worked in 1990. One of Murray Pesham's groups was originally in the area, and they did some soil sampling, and sure enough, they found some exciting things. They went back and drilled a couple holes, and within a year, they had highlighted the Black Dog VMS system. So this is an inferred resource that's on the property currently. The first hole they ever drilled, they had, I think it was almost 20 grams of gold equivalent over 10 meters. So, they kind of hit the ground running. They built a great big camp. But in the early 90s, the jurisdiction wasn't too favorable towards mining. So they also had other fish to fry at the Eskay mine. So they did end up walking away, and a couple of groups have had it since, but we were lucky enough to pick it up in 2018 and not only look at the resource, but we also expanded the land package quite substantially. So we've been looking at this area with the understanding that there is mineralization already in the ground, and we're right next door to some good infrastructure, but yet we also have this large land package that we get to explore. So this past summer, we were able to do quite a lot of soil sampling, rock sampling, and silt sampling up on the extended terrain. So this is up to the northwest of the resource. And this is an area where the glaciers are pulling back. People haven't really looked here in a long time. And so we've been doing very grassroots silt sampling, as I said, and highlighting stuff that no one's ever really looked at in the past. So from that work, we were able to identify 2 strong areas that we want to spend some more time at in the upcoming summer. We got the Heather area, which we did a soil sampling grid over top of. And so this is a 400 by 400 meter area. And we came back with good soil anomalies in molybdenum, copper, and gold. So those are, you know, your 3 big for porphyries in BC. And so we're quite excited that that anomaly goes pretty well all the way to the edges of the soil grid. And we also have high-grade rock samples coming from this area. We've got 20 grams gold when I first stepped out of the helicopter there a couple of years ago, was picked up. So it's a great area, and we need to do a little more work, and we'll be doing that this upcoming summer. That's the Heather area. And then we revisited this place, had been worked a bit historically. So we obviously wanted to take a look ourselves. This is the discovery zone. And so this is this 500 meter goss, and it sticks out like a sore thumb. The whole thing is totally blitz, rusted up, you know, altered, with very little understanding of what the protolith rock even was. And so what this tells us is that there's been a lot of hot fluids that have been firing through here. And the groups in the past, they might have just sampled at the surface, but now with our better understanding of how these big porphyry systems work in northwestern BC, we understand that they're not necessarily supposed to be high grade at surface, and that used to scare people away. And we understand the zonation now. So as you go deeper into these systems, you hopefully get into a more potassic core, which is where your copper is going to be sitting. So from this, we're looking at it as a porphyry target that we're quite excited to be advancing. What we're going to be doing here this summer is some IP. We'll do it both at this discovery zone and at the Heather zone. And so this is a geophysical technique that will help us understand where this thing's going and what potential it has at depth. And then if those things look good, we'll be testing it with a drill. So definitely two great targets in the Golden Triangle there that we were excited to follow up with shortly. And yeah, starting with the IP program. We also have another target out that way on the Sugar property. And so this is a 100 by 300 meter magnetic anomaly. And as you can see, it's sitting on the edge of a cliff here, which makes it not the easiest place to explore, but hey, that's why it's still in the ground. So this is it appears to be a skarn showing at this point. We've got 8% copper in hand sample, 5% copper in ham sample. Pretty much every rock you pick up when you're down there is loaded with chalcopyrite. And so it's a skarn that's hosted in magnetite. And that's obviously why it became quite exciting when we flew it with some geophysical techniques that revealed this large magnetic anomaly sitting right underneath it. So this is another target within the area that we need to do some more follow-up work on. And, you know, this just shows the potential. As you can see, that glacier just shrinking right beside it. It's a pretty cool place to be working. And we look forward to spending some more time out there this upcoming field program. So yeah, this upcoming field program, we'll be doing, you know, 2 to 3 weeks of field mapping and sampling, more surface stuff. We'll be doing geophysical techniques such as the IP. And hopefully if that all looks positive, we'll be able to bring in a drill rig and test a number of these targets that are slowly being advanced. I'd like to jump in now to Newfoundland. So this is a new property to the company. We've been working this just this past summer. We picked it up, so we got to do a field program at the end of the summer. Newfoundland is, as you guys may be familiar, a pretty strong place to be working right now. There's a lot of money going in. We've got great neighbors. I'll flip forward to that. In fact, Newfound Gold is only about 10 kilometers off to our east. So that's the company that's been driving a lot of the excitement in Newfoundland with spectacular results coming out in drill core. So we're sitting just a bit west of that. We're also surrounded by Skeena Resources and Exploits. So we're kind of pretty central to the action, I would say. And we picked up a land package here that, you know, it might not be the biggest land package, but there's been historic work. So we've started with a great jump up on, I'd say, a lot of people in the area. Noranda was working this property in 1990. They originally found some high silt samples in the area, some stream sediments, and so they sent some prospectors out. And within the first day, they had about 5 showings, gold showings, that they needed to follow up with. So again, it's kind of similar story to the rock and roll. They put in a solid year of work, and you know, they were able to put near, I think, about 14 holes into the ground, take some rock samples, do a soil sampling grid, and what I really like about it is that the consistency of the gold grades that they got pretty much showed that almost every hole hit some anomalous gold. In terms of numbers, historically, it's, you know, in the ranges of 7-8 grams gold here and there over a meter, or, you know, 2 grams over 6 meters. So we've proven up that there's decent, well, Noranda proved up that there's decent mineralization in drill core. And now since then, this past summer, we were able to expand on that. And we took what they knew and we spread it across the rest of the property. We completed a soil sampling program. So let's flip forward to that. So this is what the news release was focused on. And so this is the whole property here that we can see. And this map really kind of paints the picture that I'm excited about, and that the historic work was very within a 2-kilometer grid centrally. And so we did soil sampling across the whole property, and we've come up with a whole bunch of other great anomalies: arsenic, gold, antimony. And they seem to be falling along these trends that we kind of knew already existed, but within a small area. And now we've stretched these trends, you know, kilometers in length, and we've got a lot of area that we need to follow up with. Centrally to the property in the area that Noranda worked, we pretty much inherited this property with drill targets. One of the historic trenches, we went and checked it out, and we took 6 rock samples. And out of those 6 rock samples, 3 of them graded above 20 grams gold. So these were areas that line up beautifully with historic soil sampling. They've got historic geophysics, and they've got trenches that have 20 grams gold. So, and they're untested. So that's the beauty. Once we started digging into the data here, it became apparent that not only, you know, without doing any work whatsoever, we already had what I would say are some pretty strong drill targets. So yeah, the soil sampling program is about 2,000 soils. It took you know, a couple months, and like I was saying, that's introduced a handful of other areas that we are excited to explore and follow up with this year. I should mention that we are, within the next month or so, we'll be getting some IP going here as well. So that's the geophysical technique that I should point out is very important for this property, because we're hosted within a granite intrusion, and this doesn't interfere with the geophysical technique the same way other sedimentary rocks would. And so it means that the mineralization that we know is hosted in arsenopyrite veins, it's going to stand out like a sore thumb when we start doing IP over top of this stuff. It has really good contrast with the background rocks, if that makes sense. So we're quite excited to be doing IP over a much larger area than was done historically over top of some of the great soil samples we got. And yeah, that should be starting in the upcoming months here. So super excited about what's going on out in Newfoundland. And yeah, within the region, it's a great place to be working. So I'm quite happy with the recent news there. Yeah, I touched a little on the, you know, what we'll be doing. We'll be doing the IP program and continued rock sampling out in Newfoundland. And like I said, we already have drill targets, so I think it's pretty imminent that we plan to be drilling this summer in Newfoundland. It's already got stuff to work on, so we'll make that happen this summer.
Yeah, let's pass it back to you, Fiore. Certainly a good overview there by Carl. Laid out a lot of work to be done. So investors certainly like a lot of action, a lot of drills. So I want you to lay out the 22 game plan for the company.
The work is being done in actual both properties. So right now we're going to be doing the IP in Newfoundland first, and that will confirm the drill targets that, as Carl mentioned, we already have drill targets on the property. But it's always good to do a proper IP and really narrow down on your targets and be very comfortable with the program. So the step one for Newfoundland, get the IP going. Step two, get the information. Step three, we're drilling. So the other thing that we like about Newfoundland, it gives us all year. We can work on both projects from the Golden Triangle to Newfoundland, and we're all year, which is great. Same thing happening in the Golden Triangle. It'll probably be July. We're going to get out there. We're going to do IP on the Discovery Zone and the Heather, and the same thing there. Do the IP, get the results back, and then we're going to be drilling out there also. So we're pretty excited because we have excellent targets. The new team with Stephen Weatherup, our VPX, and Carl, they've been doing a great job of putting this together. So we're pretty excited here.
Yeah, let's consolidate a message here for investors. A lot of opportunities out there. You painted a nice picture, a lot of action. What's the message here to investors?
Yeah. So the one thing I want to say, and I know this always sounds promotional, but the company right now is trading between 16.5 and 18 cents. And you have other companies out there that are nowhere near. First of all, our structure is 37 million shares. Second of all, we have excellent property. We're going to be doing a financing later on. We don't need a financing now, but I can see the stock moving quickly. So if people are interested, I would say act now.
Okay, appreciate that update, and we'll leave it there. Look forward to checking back in when you guys have some more news there. Again, that's Etruscus Resources, ETR and the CSE up in Canada, ETRUF, OTC markets in the States, CEO Fiore Aliperti, and I got Carl Ryan, the geologist, sir. Appreciate you guys taking the time, and we'll certainly check back in when you have some more news to report.